Good morning. Uh, it's weekend, so there's no market analysis to do, but I'll just do a review of this week, how this week went, and my thoughts on the next week, as well as some other uh, things that I learned this week. So, the weekly candle of this week closed really bullish on DXY. And last week I talked about if I get a close above this. So we had a breakout last week, and this week I talked about if I get a breakout above this candle, then more it's more probability than that DXY will get stronger in the upcoming months. And if I would have gotten a close back in inside this, so let's say a candle two, then DXY would have been bearish for the upcoming months because we get a break C2 from a really important level. So if I look at this week, the this is Monday. The price just kept pushing for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday was a pullback. So which made this wick on the top wick on weekly. So my bias still being bullish, and I was just expecting price to give me a pullback and then continue to the upside. That would be the best scenario. So what I look now is we are into an FVG, we get a candle too, and it's a pullback. So next upcoming week, there could be two things. Either price could now just continue going up, make a C3, C4, and so on, or I'm expecting price to come a little bit down again and then make a C2, C3, C4. Again, I'm just planning out the possibilities. I'm not predicting what's going to happen, but it's high probability that price will continue going to the upside unless I get something in the next week that says otherwise. So this week has been really patient for me. I had no setup since last Thursday, which means price just kept pushing and I could not pull the trigger to enter anyway. If you remember from yesterday's video, I talk about UCAD that let's say this was a C2 candle and we got a CISD, we had an FVG, and we get a C2 candle. So if I just did a pattern trade, that means I just saw the pattern. I did not understood the context of the daily time frame. So the daily time frame being bullish and we into an FVG. If I did not understand that context, this was a really good pattern trade. But again, price just went to 1 hour and came back up. This shows that price is not willing to continue going to the downside. And hence, I said I won't be looking for sell today because the overall trend is to the upside. So it's really important to understand what the context of the market is rather than trying to take every trade. So last week, for me, the context of the market was that it's really pushing to the upside. It's really in the expansion phase, and I kept talking to myself that the expansion phase is about to end. So these two candles made an end to the expansion phase. So again, moving on to next week, we get a C2 into an FVG. I'm expecting a C3 and continuation to the upside. Either price can do that or price can pull back lower, then give me a C2, C3 from this FVG and then continue going to the upside. If I look at weekly candle, UCAD has been really bullish. Last week, last to last week was bullish. Last week was also bullish as well. So again, being bullish is the best bet here. If I look at UCHF, same setup, tap into FPG, get a C2, but we don't have an FPG on 4 hour. So I cannot look at long. I need C3 to form up. Either price will pull back more and then give me a setup. So I won't be talking about setups today. That will be in Monday morning analysis. And if I look into gold, this was Monday. Monday we get a pullback. Tuesday, Wednesday was expansion. Thursday, Friday was retracement or pullback. UJ, Monday, push, price just being in a range. So if you remember, since this day I'm talking, I don't like how UJ is looking. I want UJ to come back into this pullback zone and then give me a trade. Talking about UCHF, Monday, really small candle. Tuesday, really small candle. Wednesday, a good candle. Thursday, Friday, pullback again. So this was the beginning of expansion. This is what end of expansion signifies. When the expansion is about to end, we will start seeing smaller and smaller candles, smaller and smaller candles. And then we will see opposite candles, opposite candle. And then again, this will be a pullback. And then we'll start seeing big candles again, and this will be expansion phase again. So if I look at this, expansion here, expansion start, small candle, small candle, small candle, a big opposite candle. This does not mean the trend has shifted. The trend has not shifted until we get a change in state of delivery, which will be here. This is a pullback. This is a pullback, pullback, pullback. Again, expansion, a really big candle. And as we move on, the candle keeps getting smaller. That's why I always look to enter on a C2 candle, C3 candle, or a C4 candle. After this, there is just it's just based on luck how much the price can go up. I won't say it's based on scale. So GU, GU has been really choppy this week. Again, it has its reason to be choppy. It is at a really good support level at this swing point. And what I'm expecting is price to go up, take out this strong swing in the next week. So the weekly candle will be like this. We have an FPG, we have week close, weekly go up, tap into FPG, and continue going to the downside. This is the best approach for like it happened here. We have an FPG, we have a sweep, price go up, sweep, and continue going downside. So for this, what I need a swing point on daily time frame and I need an FPG. Do we have? Yes, we have. We have an FPG, we have a swing point. So I'm really optimistic about this that it will continue going to the downside after it taps it. Or just it could continue going to the downside and then I will look for trade certain. But in this zone, I cannot sell or buy. It's just in the range. GJ, nothing. Just in a big range. It should either break. This week has been just since 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, since 5 weeks, since last month. Price just did not go anywhere. So now finally I want price to break to the downside or break to the upside. EU, same thing. Start of expansion, best trade, best trade. No, it's not a good area to trade. What we need, pullback from an FPG, candle 2. We have everything here. Now I can expect an expansion to the downside. Why? Because We get into an POI, we have a candle 2, and I'm expecting candle 3, candle 4, candle 5, and so on. So again, this correlates with DXY really well. The same thing we are seeing in DXY. Pullback into a POI, candle 2, candle 3, candle 4, candle 5, continuation, and so on. So if all the pairs or most of the pairs give similar kind of setups, it means that there's high probability that the setup will work out. But it's also possible that price could again go a little bit higher and then continue to the downside. So for me to validate this as a C2, I need an FPG, bearish FPG on 4 hour, which technically I have, this small one. So on Monday, I can look for price to tap into FPG and continue going to the downside. Uh, EJ, Monday, Tuesday we had a trade, but 4 hour, the candle was so big, does not make sense to take trade. And then price just overextended and then started falling back. Again, we are in an FPG, overall downtrend. We have a really big candle, but it's not a C2, not a C3. So I need Monday's candle to close either go up, sweep, and close back. So it will be a C2, or just continue going down. It will be a C3. Both possibilities are welcome. And then if I look at weekly, so it was a C2, C3 from an FPG and a double top. So it just means the price is willing to go down to these swing points. So I am just expecting daily this a pullback on daily and expansion about to begin, and then next week I'll be trading. So I'm expecting a lot of trades in next week if market chooses to expand. If it chooses to just reverse from here, I don't think there will be a lot of possibilities to trade next week. And AU, Monday, Tuesday was a really big candle. Wednesday, nothing. Thursday, nothing. Friday, nothing. So that's why once expansion is finished, so expansion starting from here, once it's finished, these are just losses candle. Whatever money you made here is gonna you're gonna give it back to the market here. So what's the best thing I can expect? This was a C2 candle from an FPG. So I was expecting price to go down, but it did not had any FPG on prior day. This was an FPG for this day. And also it did not make a C3 here as well. So C3 would be if it closed below this. Then I could look to trade C4, C5, so on. Now I want prices to go back again to the FPG, give me a C2, C3, and then continue to the downside. If I look at weekly, C2, a really big expansion C3. So I can expect price to pull back and then continue to the downside, making a C4. So which also coincides with FPG. Price could pull back somewhere over middle over here and then continue to the downside. So if I look at weekly time frame, it will be a wick, price giving a pullback on daily and then continue dying. Downstairs will be expansion. And same with DXY. So this week taught a lot about how to be patient and how to examine the states of the market. If a strategy that works here on the beginning of expansion phase, it's really less likely that it will act, it will work really good in end of expansion phase, or it will act good in a pullback phase, or it will act good in a choppy phase. So it's really important to either just pick a phase of a market and trade it, or make different strategies for different kind of market conditions. I cannot apply a same strategy to every market condition. A strategy here needs to be different if I trade to at the end of expansion. It needs to be different if I trade a pullback. It needs to be different if I trade a continuation or an expansion and so on. So for me, I'm really comfortable with taking the beginning of expansion phases. So that's why my strategy caters to me in a way that I take a trade here and I ride this trade. That's what I did with gold last Thursday. I did not have a single trade after that. Why? Because my strategy demands from the market to give me a beginning of expansion phase. So if next week we get a beginning of expansion phase, again, how do I know that the expansion phase is about to begin? First is trend. There needs to be a clear trend. Second is tap into a POI. So it could be an FPG or a swing point, strong swing point, to be clear. So in this case, this will be a strong swing point. So trend, POI, which could be FEG, a strong swing point, and the third is candle close. So did the daily close as C2 or did the daily close as C3? Once these are done, I can say to myself that okay, pullback has ended and now expansion will begin and I'm ready to put my money on risk. Next step is confirm on 4 hour. Did the 4 hour give me FVG with my direction? If yes, like in this case there is, then I can wait for candle to come into FVG, which will make a big on daily time frame and then ride it to the downside. And then I'm in I'm in these beginning phases of expansion. I can ride this whole thing. And then I can pull back. Again, expansion start, ride the whole thing. So yeah, it's really important to choose what kind of personality you have and what kind of market conditions you like to trade. Some people like to trade in these choppy conditions. Some people like to trade pullback. Some would continue trading this. Again, I cannot take a trade here. It's just end of the trend for me. Market just continues for one, two, three, four candles, and fifth or something it reverses. You can see it again and again. There are just few cases where market will continue for longer, and it's really exceptional. So for that, I'm not gonna put my money on risk. That's why, for me, beginning of expansion phase is what I look for. And the second setup will be if I have an FPG, again with the trend, and DXY must confirm the trend as well. And we sweep yesterday's high, and 4 hour must have a swing point, and 4 hour must have a FPG. So this gives me a setup like this on 4 hour. So again, I'm not taking a trade here. I'm waiting for price to come, sweep it, tap it to FPG, and then continue to the downside. I also like this setup really well. So there could be shortcuts in market. I'm agreeing with it that every day you can look for a trade, but for me it has never worked. Whenever I look for trade every day, I end up losing money. So now I've just made things really simple. I will look at the trend and confirm with DXY, which is dollar index, and then POI, which will be FPG or swing point, which is strong swing point. Third thing being candle type, which could be a C2 or a C3. These three things confirm me a pullback. That's all. And then again, to confirm daily C2 slash C3, what I need 4H FVG with trend direction, price pulls into 4 hour FVG, gives me a good candle close. So it means I need a candle that looks bullish in a long trade if my bias is bullish, and it should look bearish. And then to confirm 4 hour candle, I use 15-minute market structure. So it could be CIST, it could be MSS, it could be break of structure, it could be change in character. That's all. But it requires so much patience. It just requires so much patience to wait for this, to wait for price to form a swing point, wait for me to wait to price to be in a trend. Prices could be choppy, like in GJ. It could be just choppy. It could not give me a trade for a week, for a month. That's fine. I have other pairs to look into. So that's all for today. I'll be uploading my market analysis video on Monday morning. That's all. Have a wonderful weekend and please practice a lot. You need to spend a lot of time on your chart. There's no shortcut to it. Thank you. Have a nice day.